Hello and welcome back to Wine Reform. Today I thought in the spirit of winter we would slow things down a little and do something different for this mini-sode. So today I have decided to read you all a story. So I was contemplating ways I could explain the life cycle of a grapevine, and to me it sounded a lot like The Little Engine That Could. And so with that in mind, I have chosen to translate this knowledge into the form of a children's story. With that being said, take a moment to pause the video, grab yourself a glass of wine, and then sit back and relax as I read to you all the story of the little grapevine. There once was a little grapevine. It stood proud in a vineyard. It was fully grown, 2 years old, and it was ready to join the older grapevines and make tart, juicy Vitis vinifera grapes for the winemaker. This was the first year that the little grapevine would go through the life cycle of a grapevine and finally have its grapes used for wine. This made the little grapevine very happy. It was winter. Time for the winter pruning. Winter was the time the little grapevine would be pruned of the last year's growth. The pruner tapped their chin and carefully picked what to prune on the little grapevine so that they could grow beautiful new shoots in the spring. The little grapevine felt very proud of its new cut. But the chill grew colder, and soon the whole vineyard was covered in 52-degree Fahrenheit cold. The little grapevine decided it was time for a nap. But just before the little grapevine went to sleep, the pruner made sure to keep some cuttings to protect the grapevines from pests later in the spring. The cold thawed, and the grapevines all woke up. It was spring. Time for the spring bud break. The little grapevine yawned wide, shook out their limbs, and started dripping sap. They were so happy. They were growing buds. While the little grapevine worked hard to grow buds, the grower visited all the grapevines and gave their soil a good turn. The grapevine's roots were starting to warm up now too. The little grapevine was getting bigger every day. Time for the spring flowering. The little grapevine's buds started to bloom into shoots and flowers. Oh, how happy they were! The little grapevine felt very special because, like the other grapevines in the vineyard, the little grapevine had perfect flowers. They didn't need the bees to come by and pollinate them. Their flowers could pollinate themselves. The sun grew hotter overhead. Time for the summer berry growth. The little grapevine felt bigger and bigger every day. Their flowers were giving way to the tart, juicy grapes the winemaker loved so much. The little grapevine had green grapes until veraison! Their grapes were turning red. The grower came by and picked off some bunches from the little grapevine. The little grapevine pouted until the grower said, "It is better to have fewer grapes on your vine, because then you may focus on making those few grapes better." The little grapevine nodded and agreed. They wanted to make better grapes for the winemaker, so they focused on making their few bunches the very best and most flavorful, full of sweet sugars and tart acids. The sun began to go away, and a chill crept into the vineyard once again. But the little grapevine was excited. Time for the fall harvest. The little grapevine worked very hard making the best grapes. Now that fall had come, Their grapes were rising in sugars and lowering in acids. The winemaker would like that very much. The little grapevine looked on excitedly as lots of harvesters came into the vineyard that day. They went to each grapevine and picked some grapes. The harvesters thanked the grapevines, and the grapevines were happy to make such good grapes. A harvester got to the little grapevine and picked some bunches, but left a few. The little grapevine shook their limbs and asked, "Why do you not take all the grapes to the winemaker?" The harvester answered, "Because you still have some work to do, little grapevine. Those grapes you still have you must raisinate and make sweeter. The winemaker likes to make dessert wine with the late harvest grapes." The little grapevine was intrigued. The harvester said, "I will come back in a bit for the late harvest." The little grapevine nodded and worked hard to make their last few grapes nice and raisinated. Time for the late harvest. The harvester kept their word and came back. The little grapevines stretched their vines to show the harvester, "See how much my grapes look like raisins now?" The harvester smiled. "Yes, they do. You did a very good job, little grapevine. The winemaker will like these very much." And the harvester picked the grapes from the little grapevine. It soon grew colder and colder once again. Time for the winter dormancy. The little grapevine shivered, but then realized they got to do the whole thing all over again. That made the little grapevine very happy indeed. The end. I hope you all enjoyed this interesting episode, and I hope you're all doing well and welcoming the winter chill with, a nice glass of wine or something warm to keep you toasty. I'm very excited to announce that the next video I will be putting out is going to be the last video in our winemaking series. Keep a lookout for a Pinot Grigio tasting. I did taste one Pinot Grigio and I wasn't enthralled. It was recommended to me by a wonderful viewer in the comments to try Washington Pinot Grigio. So I have gotten my hands on a Washington State Pinot Grigio, as well as a couple others from different regions than the first Pinot Grigio I've tried, and I'm going to taste them and compare them. With that all being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you like what you're seeing, give it a thumbs up and spread the word. If you really like what you're seeing, then be sure to subscribe. And if you want to know when I put out videos, you will get alerts if you tap the bell icon. Thank you again, and I will see you guys all on Friday.